welcome to another episode of Beautiful Subconscious. Today's episode is Parenting, the Ultimate Path to Self-Discovery. So why parenting is the fastest way to uncover your BS, your beautiful subconscious patterns, and make empowering changes. So if you're feeling like you're always questioning yourself, like, am I screwing up my kids? This is the episode for you. We can all relate, parents, non-parents. But before we dive right into it, of course, we've got to pull our intentional card. So what do we have for this episode right now? What messages are coming through for us together? Oh, yes. I am whole and complete and I'm not finished yet. Yes, parents. Yes, everyone who listens to this, everyone who receives this intentional card. I am whole and complete and I'm not finished yet. That is the perfect understanding for parents because you are an incredible parent. You're doing the best that you can, and yet there's still so much for us to learn, and that's okay. That's a really beautiful, humbling, just loving, accepting place to land and live from every single day. So today's episode, there's so much I would love to unpack with this. Becoming a parent was the catalyst for me to dive down this direction and work deeply with our subconscious and what holds us back and question, why do I do that? Why do I think that? Why do I behave that way? Why did I react that way? Why? Why did I, respond in that way? It was because I became a parent. And so it became apparent that I had a bunch of deep healing that I wanted to and needed to work on because I did not want to pass this on to my kids. So I understand, and I know it, and I empathize with it so much that many parents are living in silence with shame and guilt for not knowing better. They have a reaction or they think to their child's, earlier years where they were still working it out and they're like, damn it, I should have known better. Or they're holding even more guilt for the shame and guilt for knowing better but didn't do better. So just in this moment right now, can we just take some time to acknowledge and show ourselves some true deep compassion that we are absolutely doing the best that we can? Whether you're a parent or not, you are showing up and doing the best that you have and the best that you can every given moment. And every given moment will differ. You may feel more empowered. You may feel like you're a little, off center and you're not feeling vulnerable and like you're screwing it up. You're not, but you're showing up the best that you can in every given moment. And it was a lot to work through on this journey for me because my childhood was super disjointed. Money was tight. There was volatile emotions all the time. It was super, super common. My parents worked all the time and they just, were showing up the best that they knew how. Yeah, by gosh, did they have their own issues and from their own individual upbringings and coming together and not having the ability of communication, or their communication styles were so mismatched and just, in my opinion, my humble opinion, they didn't get the chance to probably develop their communication in these spaces of relationships because of their upbringing. It was a lot of, if you showed your emotions, you were weak. You had to show this tough exterior, and that was how that they both interacted in those times of vulnerability. It was like, can't go there. And so I say this now because I've worked so extensively over many, 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 many years of my childhood and how it deeply affected me. And I see my parents with such, and I think of my dad with such love and admiration because they are humans too. We're all humans just trying to, move through life and really land in this space of I'm home, I'm whole and complete, but I'm not yet finished yet. So, my mum wasn't emotionally available. My dad wasn't physically available. He was always working. They both were always working. He was studying and then building businesses overseas. So on every level, we were fending for ourselves at such a young age. So when I became a parent, I realized my lack of example, or the example I had as a reference, was explosive. And I knew embarking on this journey of just self-discovery. I didn't even know it was self-discovery at the time. All I knew was I didn't want to feel this way anymore, and I didn't want to pass this on to my kids or take this out on my kids. So this is where the journey began, parenthood for me. And so knowing that our environments shape us significantly, and also had doing the research that our nonverbal communication, so our body language, our tone, our face expressions, they make up for over 50% of our communication. And so even if we're saying the things like, it's okay, but our face is looking like it's not okay, or you're not even saying anything and you've just got stress written all over you. And this is something that I still work on now, because every once in a while I'll be like, you okay, mum? And my face is probably pulling one thing, and meanwhile I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But there's that mismatch. So your nonverbal communication can be emitting so much more than you realize. And so what you feel can be felt by the people around you, like in your family. It can be felt with people on the other side of the globe too, but that's for another episode. So me carrying these up and down emotions, my kids were the ones that were feeling it the most. But the beautiful thing about parenting is it shows you where you're living in suffering. Your reactions, your emotions, your beliefs, your thought patterns, you get to see where you are holding hurt, where you're limited, where you're holding judgment, and you get the opportunity to rewrite that and become conscious of them, to find something that's in more true alignment to you and example that to your kids. Because we all want our kids to believe that anything is possible for them. We want them to know that to their core. But if over 50% of our communication is nonverbal, then we have to ourselves embody that knowingness. So we've got to know that anything is possible for us. And that is often the last thing that we think for ourselves at that time, especially growing up. And so I knew, like, for me, definitely, like, I grew up with a lot of judgment. There was a lot of dismissing of what was said. You'd express yourself or just be joking around and saying kid stuff, and it would just be like met with, what are you saying that for? Or just a tone of invalidating. And again, they didn't know any better. Obviously, an example of how they feel about themselves and their upbringing. But at the time, it suppresses your expression. And so what to be available for you, all of a sudden you hold because of the fear of judgment. And I didn't want that for my kids. And so I felt really, really happy in recent years. Like, my beautiful psychic, Donna, she said to me, like, Shell, you're doing a really great job. Like, you're just meeting the kids where they're at. You're just meeting them on their vibration, and just please receive that. And it just brought me to tears, I remember, because I'm like, that's all I want for them to realize. Oh God, I can feel my voice cracking now. But just for them to realize that they can say and be however they feel they want to express at any area and phase of their life. And that's okay. There's a difference between controlling them out of fear and guiding them. And I get to guide them. We get the privilege of guiding these people, but we don't own them. We just get to guide them. And, that love and openness, that and unconditional acceptance that we want them to evolve from and we want to parent from, we've got to be embodying that openness, that unconditional acceptance, and that love for ourselves. And that can be the trickiest part, because we are so much more cemented in our own stuff than our kids are. We've rerun that story a bunch more, decades more than what our kids have. So it's a lot of unlearning and a lot of compassion that we are going to make some progress, and we're going to fall back into some old patterns and make some progress again. And it's having that total compassion and acceptance, because guess what? Like, they are seeing this. Our kids are witnessing this example of self-compassion and resilience, that, even when we drop the ball, we get to show them how to pick ourselves up, not come down on ourselves, not, feel like we've completely stuffed up, because that's the last thing that we want for them. And these are fundamental traits of self-worth. Every time I know that I'm like a real triggered trigger, when the reaction supersedes the actual event, like they tip over some glass and you explode, we realize it's not about them, it's about us. When the fear overtakes me in a reaction, it's not about them, it's about me. It's about like, what am I reacting from? What's triggered within my subconscious that has opened up a wound, that's opened up a fear, that's opened up a limitation and a judgment that I was blinded to perhaps, but I'm seeing it reflected through them in something that they've said or something that they've done, and it's just overtaken me. And this is where we get the opportunity to take our power back from our reactions and be like, okay, cool, there's something here for me. I'm going to work on it. Kinesiology, that has opened me up in so many ways. Like yoga, just seeing my thought processes and what plays out in my internal dialogue was so fascinating when I first did that. My journaling, walking, all these things to land me back in me is just such a gift that I can example to them. So by no means am I saying that I'm getting this right all the time, and I have no idea what they're going to take from their upbringing and come see me later for kinesiology. But what I do know is the more I work on healing my own judgments, the more I get to see with clarity that they are so okay. They've got what it takes. They've always had what it takes. We have always had what it takes. We've just got to release our fear that they need us. Yet there's an element that they do, but then there's also an element that they don't. They've got it all with them. And we've just got to slowly allow that they're not ours to control. They're not ours to live through. It's just simply a guide, and then pass the reins on. So, how to stop feeling like you're screwing up your kids? Simple. It's just to work on yourself. Work on yourself and use this as evidence that your upbringing, where there was more than likely more unconsciousness around your upbringing, meaning your parents didn't have or do the self-work that we do these days. They didn't inquire about why they acted the way they were. It was just, that's the way that it is, and that's how you go. That's you do as I say, not as I do. And we're healing ourselves from that upbringing, that level of unconsciousness. We were able to move so much through and take the wisdom within that, and not only find a sense of acceptance, but a true, genuine space of appreciation for every part of who they were and every part of our journey. That's when you know that you've got true self-empowerment and true self-enlightenment, when you can take some of the most unconscious areas of your life and find ways to really deeply, genuinely appreciate it. And so use that as evidence. Like, you've moved through so many mountains of your upbringing and your experiences growing up, and they will too. So the way that you stop thinking that you're screwing up your kids is by doing the work on you and knowing that they are going to see those examples to know that they can do the work on themselves. There's never a time where they're screwed up. They're going to take the wisdom, and they chose this journey to draw upon what it is that you were guided here to teach them. They're going to take it and use it and spin it into their own journey of their self-discovery. So by all means, if you're wanting support for the relationship you have with yourself, let us help. Our program dives deeply into repairing the relationship with you by addressing and resolving your upbringing, your childhood, your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your family, your relationships, how you have them now, your relationship to where they were. Your parents can be gone, they can be passed over. You're still harboring things that are unresolved, and they're still having an effect on you, and they're still infiltrating in the way that you conduct your relationships. So let us help. My kinesiology programs absolutely extensively works through so much of this. I know for me, it has been a game changer to the way that I feel about myself, the relationship I have with my body, and I get to example that to my kids. And it just takes your power back. And that is what we all deserve. So thank you. Thank you for sharing this episode with me. If you found this episode beneficial, if you took something from it, if it landed and really connected with you, I would love to hear. Please send me a DM. Please share it. Please post about it. Please subscribe. Just any connection in how this is landing with you, I greatly appreciate. So until next week, take care of you. Guys, if you're ready to get to the bottom of your crippling self-doubt and finally resolve it from its root source, or if you're feeling like your career isn't hitting the mark and you're questioning where life's heading, if you crave relief from physical pain and just need some real answers, and if you're ready to flip your financial script and rewrite your money story not only through your subconscious but with professional practical tools, then jump on board our waitlist now. This 6-month program is breaking new ground in blending a subconscious mastery and expert strategy for your success. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on this transformational journey. We are diving deep into those unconscious barriers, and with a dedicated team, we are focusing on your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your career. So hit the show notes, click apply, jump on the wait list, because this is the way to pave your path to true empowerment. I can't wait.